Welcome to the most important podcast you are listening to right now. The A Show with April Hunter and Aron Stevens.
Good evening and welcome to the A Show. Tonight my co-host Aron Stevens is across from me over there, and we are lucky enough to have with us Amazon cosplayer Stephanie May. Yay, thank you for joining us, Stephanie.
No, thank you so much for having me. It was so awesome, by the way, to meet you a couple cons ago as another guest. That was awesome, and you're my people.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Since we met each other, we're just like, I have a feeling you're my people, and we're just going to keep hanging out. So I was like, yep, you know what? I think that works.
The only thing that sucked about it is that we don't live in the same city.
I know. People, do you get this too? Your friends will, or family will be, or somebody will be coming to Florida. They're like, I'm coming to Florida. I want to see you. And it's like, where in Florida are you coming to?
I literally had somebody a couple of weeks ago that was like, I'm going to be in Florida. I'm going to be over at, where did they say they were? In like not Pensacola, but Panama
somewhere
City.
Nowhere near the fuck you
Panama
are, right?
City. And they're like, is that close to you? And I'm like, it's only a 9-hour drive. No big deal. I'll be right there. No, I'm not going to do it. I live in South Florida, which is about 9 hours away. So
that's
a different climate.
But I'm sorry, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, they don't quite get it. They're like, you know how big Florida is, right?
It's
I mean, like
long.
we are such a big
state.
we sway the motherfucking election people. Like, if you're coming here, we need, you have to kind of get your geographical references down, So
and there's a very big difference between Central, South, and North Florida. Like there's every sense of the idea of it, right?
Yes. Yeah. We're so badass. We have our own hashtags. Florida man.
It's funny because
hashtag 305 all day, every day.
There you go.
Well,
sorry, Aaron.
No, I was going to say, if you look at like California and Texas, those are pretty big states. Like Florida does not look as big as those states. However, like
it's
the way
because people don't know how to read maps.
Yeah. And
but
like the
is extended out until anything closer to the equator looks shorter. Like look at Greenland. It looks like massive. Greenland is not that big. It's just because the way the maps are done, it looks massive.
Yes.
Well, let me give people a little bit of a reference here. The state of Pennsylvania is the same size as the country of Ireland. Florida's bigger. Okay, so there you go.
I mean,
there
people are like, oh, but how far are you from Key West? I'm like, that's still 4 hours away.
Yeah.
I'm like the whole stretch. If I was to just go straight north from Key West, I mean, I understand Key West kind of goes like that's a whole nother issue. But if you were just to drive up literally US 1 all the way, that's like a 12 to 13-hour drive just to get out of the state.
Yep. So you are joined here with one of your friends. You're actually on a road trip right now. I can hear her in the background, and you're doing your thing. Yeah, you're doing your thing.
Yeah.
So thank you for taking the time out of whatever it is that you are currently doing to don your costume and join us tonight.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate it.
First of all, April, I love you. I would not miss an opportunity to support you and everything. And apparently I'm being
this is great. This is awesome. Hey, come join us.
I think I was photobombed.
There you go.
Okay.
Yep. Podcast bombed.
So but the whole thing is that I'm actually in Philly right now for my day job, right? So this is like at night I don the outfit, but while I'm working, I do work in the medical field and I'm here in the practices here in Philly. So I'm here doing work. But I'm still grateful I brought this with me just to be on the show because April, I would never let you down, first of all, ever, because I love you. And but so people know, like, this is great. This is a great opportunity for me. I really am so thankful that you even have me here.
Thank you. Okay, so just because we're getting some feedback, I'm going to ask if your friend can like just be a little bit quiet because it's hard. It's drowning you out a little bit, and I want to be able to make sure everybody hears you and hears your whole thing.
Yeah.
So I'll let Aron do the interview since he doesn't understand cosplay all that much.
Okay.
That's a whole maybe a series of shows. But as April and I, we were kind of pre-gaming, and she was telling me all about you. And in April, like before we get into it,
they're probably all lies.
Well, it's very, very good. So it was like 2 thumbs up all the way around. I mean, you, cosplayer, ran for political office at some point?
I did.
Wow. And then what else? What am I forgetting? I mean, there's so much more.
I mean, I did. I guess what got me into cosplay is actually running for office. Like, it's actually started political in some way. After the 2016 election, I was really upset. And it wasn't about necessarily who won and who lost. It was more about the rhetoric and the divide of the country and the people that I knew and the communities that I knew and loved being really divisive. And so I know that they had the Women's March that happened, and I wanted to do something locally. So I decided to do something locally in South Florida where nobody was even allowed to speak Trump's name or Hillary's name. Because to me, it wasn't about who won or who lost. It was about, like, let's bring our community back together. We always had the same issues. So let's talk about those issues. So I had a bunch of nonprofits there. I had a bunch of people that were there to talk about the different issues in the community and have them get involved. And that kind of led me, I guess, into politics. And I never, for even a half a second, thought I would run for office. I'm going to be honest. Like, that's not my thing. I have a big picture way of thinking about stuff. But at the end of the day, I obviously ended up getting involved with the party that I'm affiliated with, although that is a whole other subject that we're not going to get into. And people...
Now I'm curious.
Well, people were just really surprised that somebody who has no background in politics actually understood politics and actually really understood the trends that were happening. And to a point that I was disgusted because I understood that the reason certain things are passed is literally to get to something like the Supreme Court so that things can be overturned. Okay?
Mm-hmm. To set a precedent.
What's that?
Sometimes we set a precedent.
Yeah, but it's like, I just knew, like, these are these things that are happening and they're trying to change the laws that people think are immutable, but they're not. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. So, and so I was kind of, I don't want to say I was talked into it, but I kind of was in a little bit of a way, because like I said, not even for half a second did I think that I was somebody who's going to run for office. But people are like, you have something that is a voice to be heard. You have something that people can't express on their own, and you actually fight for the people. Like, you would never compromise. The thing that people don't tell you is that if you're unwilling to compromise, if you're running for office, you face this different challenge.
Yeah.
And that's really what I ran against. Like, so I mean, there was a lot of things that I ran as far as a platform is on. But the reason it led me, and the reason I say all this led me to cosplay is that when the Me Too movement was happening, I decided to do an event called Wonder Women Rise. And it was about the whole hashtag Me Too thing that was happening. And it wasn't about like, oh, he said, she said, this whole type of thing. It was about historically, how do we get to this point where people are finally feeling comfortable to speak out? What do you do when you're in these situations to de-escalate them? Yeah. And then as historically, what can we do to move forward as a society, both male and female, to come together, whether you've been abused or not, but as a society move forward and to understand the situation. And so I had ordered an outfit that was a Wonder Woman outfit that I was like, all right, so let me go ahead and I'm going to have a whole bunch of people on with me as Wonder Woman. So I had transgender, and I had women of color, and I had all sorts of like characters of life be with us to tell the story. And this suit that I ordered didn't come.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
All right, she's like very excited. She hasn't heard the whole story, so she's very excited over here. So the thing is that so I ended up having to rent something. And, so I rented something for the event, and then the suit came, and I already had tickets to SuperCon down in Florida. So I was like, well, I'm just going to wear it. I'm already involved, and I love it. And I'm like, might as well. And I was already running for office at that point because well, that's again part of that other story that I don't necessarily know if I want to get into. And yeah, the reaction was amazing. The kids melted my heart. They were amazing. And I mean, just because I am 6 foot tall, barefoot, so for them to see somebody don the armor that actually can be the height and the of a real life, it like kind of blew their mind. And like the parents afterwards were like, so just so you know, like in our household, you're known as a real like Wonder Woman. Like whenever they talk about the real Wonder Woman, they're talking about you. And it's just, I mean, how can you not melt at that?
That's awesome.
And so that's what got me here.
That's
cool.
very
Wow.
cool. That's very cool.
Yeah,
Like, you do fit into the role very well.
It's just a really long, weird, convoluted story to get me here. And you know what I love about the Wonder Woman outfit? I don't have to change my personality at all. I literally can just be me, and it's kind of cool.
That's all. Yeah, that's great. And again, what an interesting story and an amazing one at that. And it's, April and I, and we talk about everything on here. And the coolest thing to me was when you said, like, how can we as a society and where everyone is just so divisive and everything like that, which in a lot of, people in this country, it's just you have to
choose a side.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be about that.
It's like you almost, the illusion of you have to pick a side as opposed to you have to think for yourselves and be kind to everyone.
And just be part of your community. Your community is not about sides.
Yes.
I had people afterwards because I saw what happened, like in DC, like yell at me. And I'm like, if you actually were at my event, you would not have experienced what they even did in DC. And it's not to shame anything that happened in DC. I mean, I think that the Women's March that happened around the world was an epic event. But like, I went out of my way to make sure that it would not create more divisiveness.
Yeah. And that again, as a male, that's so amazing because it's here are my thoughts on when any kind of movement, right? Whether it's the women's movement or anything, right? Like you can get people excited about something and get them fired up, and you can show up and protest, exercise your free speech. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful thing about this country. But then you actually are taking steps and like getting involved in the community. Like what do you do past the march, past the rally, and what you're doing? That's inspirational. That's amazing.
Well, that was the whole thing, is that I wanted to have people involved because I was not traditionally involved. I was always aware of politics. I always knew what was going on, but I wasn't involved, right? And I think that that's actually part of a folly of my generation, is that we're aware, but we're not necessarily involved. So I was like, so one of the things that I think a lot of people at that point in 2016 is like, how can I get involved? How can I get involved in things that I care about? So I wanted to give them that opportunity, which is part of the reason that I didn't want anybody to talk about who won or lost the election. To me, it was about that involvement. And I had a bunch of nonprofits there where their license was on the line because they understood my mission in it. And if somebody had deviated, I actually had somebody that was a local politician that came to me and was like, well, can I just, and I'm like, absolutely not. I'm like, the ACLU is here right now, which, by the way, I have some of my own issues with currently because of everything that has escalated so much in this country. But at the time, I was like, no, are you going to put their charter on the line because you personally have something to say? I'm like, this isn't about you. It wasn't about me. This was about the bigger picture and bringing everybody together about the issues that we in South Florida faced.
Yeah, fucking A.
Right. Amen.
I love her. She's great, but I gotta muzzle her right now.
All good.
It was an appropriately timed comment. So I don't know if I may have mentioned this to you or not, but we are a nonpartisan. When we talk about things, we're nonpartisan. We are moderate. Like, we always think the moderate voice is being kind of suppressed, and there's so much divisiveness out there. We don't want to add to that. So we don't believe in sides. We believe in gray areas. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on.
Falls in a gray area, and I feel like unfortunately. And I think the pandemic helped to push people into camps because it meant that you were isolated into these own little groups. But it's like, obviously my mission when I put that on, when I didn't even allow, like we had all the speeches ahead of time, by the way, because I had sign interpreters there to make sure that we were inclusive of everybody. And so I made sure that they knew they were not allowed to bring these types of things up. And it wasn't to try and silence anybody. It's because the mission was about community. And it was not about like creating this divide. And I understand that me even bringing up, the Women's March can create divide. But like I went out of my way to try and make it apolitical, because to me it was like, yeah, issues are political, but at the same time, the water is still rising in South Florida and we all have to face it. So that might sound like it's a political side. It's not really a political side, because we're all going to face water rise.
Yep.
At the end of the day, that's what's literally happening in South Florida.
I don't understand how we politicize so much. Oh, sorry, I didn't, but froze. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, I don't understand how we politicize things that are vitally important to everyone. Doesn't matter what party you are. I mean, healthy food is important to everyone. These
clean water.
Clean water, the intensity of the storms that keep getting worse and worse and worse and have been since 2006, 8. That is important to everyone, right? Just the economic issues, red tide, the manatees dying in mass droves, the extinctions. These things are important to everybody. It doesn't matter where you fall or who you vote for. This is important stuff.
Exactly.
So why are we politicizing it?
Exactly. And that was my whole point of putting on that event. That led to me doing this.
It's amazing. Wow.
Never about, this was never about, I'm not even coming on here and being like, oh, this person should have won this. Like, I'm not going to disclose that because it doesn't matter.
Yes. No. We're all in this together. Regardless of who won, as a society, right? It
doesn't exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who won or who lost. We're all in this together as America, as a community, as cities or whatever, however you want to. But we're still neighbors.
Yeah, Eva popped up and she said, "No need for sides. Everybody needs to work together," and we do.
Hey, Eva.
Thank you, Eva.
Oh, Eva.
Because everybody does. We have to work together to solve this if we want to, and that's the thing. I don't know if people want to solve any of these issues.
At the end of the day, right? Like, where do the best minds come from? They come from opposing points of view. Because you need to be able to question things from both sides. No matter who you are, if you have tunnel vision, that is not the way to solve things. It's only going to lead to one answer. You need other input in order to actually solve things. So it's important to have conversations across the aisle. It's important to have, they're not political. These are just things that are happening that we need to solve. And you can't solve it from one side anyway.
Yeah,
exactly. And you know what? One thing that to this day, this was probably over a year ago. It bothered me. I think it was Texas, and it was on a news story when I was scrolling the internet. And there were two neighbors, and one neighbor was for one candidate, one neighbor was for another candidate, and they shared a picture of them each holding a sign, but like at a barbecue together, kind of like smiling and shaking hands, and it was awesome. It was like, oh. That's right. Like, we forgot, just because somebody has a different political view, belongs to a different party, that we can actually talk to them as human beings, and we may have some things in common.
Was this because bars shut down? Because part of me thinks it might have been because bars shut down. I am a philosopher by nature. Let me tell you, that is the best place to debate anything. People are like, you're not supposed to talk about God in a bar. I'm like, this is literally the best place to talk about God.
Yeah.
Yes.
I always talk about politics and religion right off the bat.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. All philosophers, what do? They have a drink and they talk about philosophy, and that includes God and politics.
God and religion. Yep. Or God and politics.
To help you talk about spirituality, right?
Yep.
Exactly.
Why they call it.
I wonder if COVID, the actual issue with COVID, they shut down bars and therefore we can no longer communicate because we can't drink and talk.
Oh, wow.
So, somebody said that the news took a page out of the book from pro wrestling, where they said that the media wants us to feel, not think. So they use the professional wrestling television WWE formula of trying. Huh?
It sounds like a scapegoat.
They're trying to evoke emotional responses now, instead of making you think. And now people obviously they watch the media channel that aligns with their feelings the most and keeps us even more divided.
My
So-
2 cents on that is that yes, they don't want you to think.
Mhm.
Yes, they want to keep you divided. Yes, they've been living in a fear culture probably since Hurricane Andrew hit, when they realized that terror keeps people hooked. This is something that's been going on for for at least 2 decades, if not longer. And
Yeah.
you know, the fact that it's becoming more divisive is because it sells. But to compare it to something like wrestling, to me is ridiculous because it has become.
I compare everything to wrestling.
No, I understand. What I'm saying, I find faulty with it because it's been something that's been existent for a really long time. It's just we used to have news in 30-minute segments.
Yes.
Now it is 24/7. Ever since 9/11 specifically, there's these 24/7 feeding you what they want to sell you. And it feeds you a side. And it has made us more divisive. But to make it, I think that it takes away actually from wrestling. Because this is something that has been contrived over decades, specifically to target people and their fear. I don't think wrestling is meant to target people's fear. News has been changed to target people's fear versus telling facts.
Yes, based on like what April I think was trying to say, right? It's based on whether good, bad, love, fear, joy, happiness, an emotional response, like whatever biologically occurs in the brain and the body
Visceral
when you are
response.
afraid to where, oh no, I have to watch this. Whereas, but to your point, and I agree with Stephanie, at least in wrestling, we admit we're fake. You know, I was a wrestler for several years, right? We would know, but we would say, hey, none of this is real. It's fake.
Right.
It's all, whereas the news, like they're actually, presenting this as facts. And did you hear the story where one of the major news stations, it came out that the CEO or the president, like, oh, our primary goal was to make sure a certain candidate didn't get reelected. That was about a month ago.
CNN.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna lie. Because I am, as Wonder Woman, truth is a really big deal to me, and I do not need my lasso to tell the truth. But no, I have actually not watched the news in a really long time because I will read it and I will read multiple sources to find what the information I want to find. Because I think it's really important to have multiple perspective. It's something that I started doing in 2002, way before all of this crazy. And I was like, it was after 9/11, and I specifically had a lot of time because I used to do computers for a living, and I was a system admin, and I was very efficient at what I did, is what I'm going to say. And I decided to start looking up what other countries were saying about the wars. And it was kind of an eye-opener to me. And I remember having conversations, and ironically, at the same time, like right afterwards, I ended up taking my first philosophy class, which ended up being ethics in the media, which at this point in time is like a joke. But
I don't think they offer that class anymore. I went through my degree program last year.
At the time, it was still like, because it was still right after 9/11. There wasn't where it is now.
Right.
So, but the thing is that, like, yeah, there's always been a slant. It's worse now. You can find the information, but you have to look, and you have to really look. You can't just get and look at what Google feeds you or whatever your browser is, because they know what your history is. So they're going to try and feed you the stuff that like feeds you.
Google's technically not a search engine.
Yeah,
it's a popularity contest. So you have to go to a real search engine.
But they all are. That's the thing. That's why you have to basically know exactly what you're looking for. You have to have multiple news sources. I mean, I look at multiple sides. I don't want just being fed from one side. I want to know what both sides are thinking at all times. I think that's important and imperative to our future.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to know what's actually going on in our country, you look at Al Jazeera.
And BBC.
Al Jazeera, BBC?
Yeah.
Yes,
I was
BBC.
looking at Al Jazeera.
Al Jazeera is one of the best, I think, one of the best
It
news
is.
outlets.
And you know what? I was literally looking back at that in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Because that was very important. And people were like, that is like a super terrorist. And I'm like, it's important to know how other people look at us too.
Yeah.
It's not just about us. It's never, no, it's, your whole life is never just about you. And if you live in that world that you think it's just about you, either A, you're like a billionaire and can afford to do so, or you just are don't have any concept of reality, because it's not. We are part of a global community at this point. I think the internet is proof and fact. The fact that we can even do these types of things.
Yeah, our Colin even mentioned the Chinese news network is another one to pay attention to.
They all are.
It's just,
I look at South America. I really try and parse through the information that I read. And you find, and what's interesting is the more you parse through, the more you will find the common threads. And those common threads are what you know to be the truth, because they're everywhere.
Yep.
Across whatever it is that you read.
I call those patterns.
A lot.
Patterns. Yeah. Yeah, that's okay.
And Stephanie, I always I try to look for some kind of an optimistic point of view somewhere and stuff like this. And do you think that more Americans, and I hate the term, are starting to wake up, but are starting to open their eyes and see what the media actually is? Like what is going on in the media? Because, when I said about the president of that news network, to me, why is this even news? Because it was constantly on the air for about 2 years, to try to get this candidate out of office. And how the average person couldn't watch it, see that there was an agenda there, as opposed to just objectively reporting the facts and, letting the candidate speak for themselves, good, bad, or indifferent.
Okay. So I have two different things. I don't know which track you want me to go on. I could speak on as somebody who ran for office, or I could speak on as somebody who didn't run for office.
Both.
Okay. As somebody who ran for office, I can tell you absolutely there is an agenda, and absolutely the one thing that I will agree with Trump on is that the system's rigged. It is not rigged, though, the way that he talks about it being rigged. It's not because there's whatever, blah, blah, blah. No. It's rigged because it's rigged from the primary. As somebody who ran for office, I, from the beginning, had moles placed on my campaign. I had people bribed off my campaign. I was threatened. At the end of the day, because they tried to silence me, was the whole thing. At the end of the day, my paperwork to be on the ballot for the primary that was guaranteed delivery just didn't get there. Because I did not fit into what they wanted. And they knew it, because they vetted me. And I didn't know, because at the time, like I said, I didn't even consider running for office. But looking back, I can be like, okay.
What? A strong, opinionated woman with huge boobs does not fit into the mold? What?
No, it's more just the fact that I think that they knew right away that I was going to do what was right by the people and not by the party.
Yeah, you're not controllable.
Exactly. And they don't want that. They want somebody, and they vet people to be controllable.
They want a puppet.
They really do. And that's, at the end of the day, though, that's the bottom line. And they knew I would never, I'm a 6 foot tall Amazon, period, end of the day. I make my own way. Can I be soft? Yes. But for most of the part, and most of the time, and maybe this is going to lose me followers, but I'm not going to be. I'm not going to compromise myself. And at the end, and here's the other thing that was interesting, is that when I ran for office and when I had to leave because of the fact that my paperwork didn't get there on time, because the guaranteed mail didn't get there on time, somebody's like, well, why don't you support your opponent? And I'm like, why would I? And they're like, well, that's the political thing to do. And I'm like, so you want me to compromise my integrity to support a woman that I would never vote for her? Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, but that's how you play the game. And I'm like, but here's the thing. If you think I'm willing to play the game, then I don't ever want your vote, because I don't deserve your vote. And that's how all people, I didn't want to ever run for office. I ran for office because people were like, you're somebody who could stand up, you have an opinion, and your opinion and the way that you look at what South Florida needs is what we need. I had more people support me from the opposing party than my own party, which is crazy. And actually, one of my endorsements was I have never voted for X party person in my entire life, but I'm going to go ahead and support her because she knows what's up. And then he's like, I can't write that. That is not professional. And he threw it away. And I was like, but I kind of like that one. Can I keep that one? Right? What was that?
Would you run again? Would you consider running again?
No. I'm not
And that's
dirty
sad.
enough.
That's sad.
Yeah, that is sad.
I
That
would
is
vote for
sad.
you.
Yeah.
I would vote for you based on our conversation and like
Yeah.
you just being a
That's-
public servant, not a politician.
I mean, look, the whole thing is I was like, look, I don't need the money. I'm not trying to make myself like a career politician. I just know that, I mean, I was in computers for a long time. I was then in banking as management. I've been management, customer service. Like I don't have a political background, but I understand how systems work. I understand
But the
how to solve them.
forefathers of this country didn't have a political background either. They were commoners who came together, assembled
And I'm
to
not
make
a
the laws.
lawyer.
Right. So, and they went back to their common lives. What's going on right now with Congress and what we have right now is not how it's supposed
You
to
have
be.
money and you have law on your side.
Yeah.
I mean, they have written the law. They've written everything to benefit. And that's the thing is they're so good at the manipulation of the the media plays into this. They're so good at manipulation of people is that they are all still angry at the wrong thing. Because it's not one party or the other.
Uh-huh.
It's both parties. It's the entire system.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's the entire system. And so no matter how much you don't like this person or that person and that party or this thing and what they did, like the entire system.
Yeah. How we're trained to think, right? It's not the party, it's the paradigm. The paradigm of, one versus the other. And one thing I can't stand, we only have, and yes, I would love, and I'm sorry, like a strong third party because we have two major parties, like for president, right? We got Democrats, Republicans, okay?
Yeah.
Which are both the same. Don't lie. They're both about, here's the end of the day. At the end
The
of the day,
lobbyists are at both conventions. Same lobbyists.
But that's just, why are they the same party? So people are like, but they totally have different values. Do they though? Because at the end of the day, guess who they represent? The corporation.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
I don't care how much people are like, oh, but they represent this or no. At the end of the day, they still sign laws and they still do things that make it impossible for the average person to succeed because the side of the law is on the corporation. It is not on humanity anymore. Humanity, what we are, which is the masses, that's why we should be angry.
Yeah.
And people don't think that's fascism.
I know. Because
When the very definition of
person.
fascism is when corporations run the country.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is like still harkens back to, some of what got Putin into power, right?
Yeah.
So answer that question as a regular person that Aron asked. Do you feel that people are starting to wake up as a non-political candidate? Because personally, I think they're still believing the Kool-Aid. They're still reciting the news. They're parroting all the time.
I think that you were correct, April.
I think they are being manipulated. I think they are
that the woke
little
people
parrots being spoon-fed.
I think the woke people don't know what's woke.
Oh, no, not at all. No.
They're attacking people that are on their side whenever they have a chance.
Yep.
I think the people that are conservative don't even understand conservatism anymore because it's like, oh, my body, my choice, but you woman, how dare you? Like pick a choice, like choose one or the other. Like you can't have both simultaneously. It's like, but no, absolutely, they're buying into it. They are still not woke. They are still part of the system. There is no extremism. If you are going to be American, as far as I am concerned, and this might get me a lot of haters, I don't really care. But it's like there is no extremism. Like the only way that we can survive as a country, and it's the only way that people and countries and in general survive is through moderation, right? Mm-hmm. You can't be extreme. You have to hear another side of the story. You can't just be like, well, my side is right. No, there's always, in fact, there's not just two sides. There's always three sides. There's my side, your side, and the fly on the wall that nobody heard. That's the reality. But we're not living in that world anymore. We have my side, your side, and then we have the media side, which is on my side, and we have the other media side that's on their side, and there's still a fly on the wall that nobody's listening to.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
You ever see those? You ever see those alternate written that they do they'll take like Alice in Wonderland and rewrite it as if it were written for the media today. And and it's funny. They'll be like, girl has with a drug abuse problem, leaves home and goes on a psychedelic trip, and screws over all her friends, and they rewrite it the way it would be told today.
You know what? It's like you're missing the whole point of the story.
Yeah, but I mean that's what they do now instead of finding the you know what I mean. They do it to prove a point that's the media can rewrite anything and make even a classic, a beloved, beautiful classic into whatever they want to.
But the question is that like, does it matter to those that are interpreting it? Does it matter that it's making a parody? People don't even seem to know what a parody is anymore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, like I had sent somebody, and I think I sent this to you, April. Like I had sent a meme to a friend of mine, and it was like a stick shift, a manual.
Yeah.
And it was like we could cripple an entire generation. It showed the manual, and it's like with a manual and cursive writing.
Yeah.
And I have a friend of mine that wrote back, well, I'm pretty sure that I know how to drive a stick shift. And I was like, okay, hello, millennial. This is not about you. I know you don't get that enough, but this is not about you. Like, it was a joke. It was a meme. It was funny. But the fact that they took it personally, I was like, really?
I put one up last week on Twitter, and it was like, it was a meme. It was funny. It was meant to be funny. I don't know. You can buy a lot of things in America, but a sense of humor is obviously not one of them. So it was like, which of these things is the most difficult for you to say? And this is right after the emails were discovered. So it was like, I'm sorry. I need help. I love you. My conspiracy friend was correct. So people are writing back. They're writing back to this. They're like, well, I need help is pretty difficult for me. I have a really hard time with I love you. I'm not a big fan on saying I'm sorry. Somebody finally wrote back. They're like, but number 4, though. I'm like, yeah, it's meant as a joke. People are actually taking it seriously.
I know. It's like, calm down.
Yes.
It's not about you and your interpretation. Like sometimes things are just meant to be funny. Like,
Thank you.
Like, why can't
Thank you.
Like if you look at a show, even from the early 2000s, and April, you and I were talking about this the other day, where you couldn't do some of the jokes you did, or even music video. There was a Billy Joel music video that if
You're
you
Only
did
Human.
It today,
It was on The Boys.
which, by the way, one of the best concerts I've ever been to. But go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sure he wrote.
So it was a kid that was standing on a bridge, getting ready to jump off and kill himself, and then Billy Joel appears, and they used the snippet of this video in the show The Boys. And I said to Aron, I don't know if they could do that video these days. You know, having a kid on a bridge getting ready to kill himself. I'm like, there's so many things that they couldn't do these days.
It's like Skid Row with 18 in Life.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
He was a young boy. He had a heart of stone. Oh, I can. That's a karaoke song of mine, but that's a different story. But
Ricky was a young boy.
Story.
He had a heart of stone. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, Sebastian Bach's awesome. But no, you're right. Like in the music, and God forbid in television, where we have, if you look, I'm not even going to go to All in the Family or the Jeffersons, which are my they're in my top 10 in terms of
Sanford and Son.
Yes, Sanford and Son was great. But if you look at the Honeymooners, right?
Oh, yeah.
Jackie Gleason was like
To the moon.
like
moon,
an
Alice.
abusive husband. You can't do that now. And look, I think it's
that's
good that
we got divorced. my husband, I swear, I can't even make this up. He's like, why aren't you greeting me at the door every day? And I was like, so here's the thing. Before we got married, we didn't do this. I'm like, and we keep getting in arguments that all of a sudden that whether we're married, we're supposed to do these things. I'm like, you need to make me a list. Which ones can I curse on this story, by the way?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Which ones that I think are fucking you out of your mind for even asking me? Which ones are just fucking dumb? And which ones I will consider? And he was like, he never made a list because we were getting in arguments, but that was one of his things. Why aren't you greeting me at the door every day? And I was like, oh, with a martini and like a negligee? Like, what kind of century are we living in?
Wow, yeah.
Well, maybe on a Saturday.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, like that. It's good that we are, and there have been some aspects that we're moving forward, right? Like I thought the Me Too movement, that had shed light on or brought to the surface an issue that everyone knew. But here was my issue with that, Stephanie. A year prior, at the Oscars, I believe it was, one of the actors that was giving a speech or something, they made a joke about Harvey Weinstein, and everyone in that audience laughed. And it was about Weinstein doing what he does, right? Everybody laughed at that. And then the next year, those are the same people that are, completely in the opposite direction. But in my opinion, that's only because that's public opinion and that's self-survival. It's like,
well, I mean, I have an issue with cancel culture in general. Really, you're going to hold somebody accountable to something that they did 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Who didn't do something stupid at one point? Now, I'm not talking about somebody like Harry Weinstein, or I'm not talking about these people that are serial offenders.
Chris Rock, right? Like something like that, where he tweeted one thing 10 years ago, and
I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, the left used to be the party side. We used to be the cool and mean, we're gonna go out and have a drink, and now they're like, oh, you're canceled because you said the wrong thing. What?
Yeah,
I'm so grateful there was no video cameras around them. You're the generation that I'm in, and it's like, ooh, boy,
no, it's ridiculous.
I would have been in trouble.
Look, nobody has not ever I don't even know what standard, because it's not even you can just say the wrong thing, and you just saying the wrong thing, you're canceled. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's gotten to the point that it's ridiculous. I mean, if you can't even express and speak about anything that isn't even hate, it's just nah, I don't agree, and all of a sudden the next thing you know, you're oh, we're all canceling you. What kind of culture is that you? I mean,
so it's not just that stuff too. Today I got a notification on Facebook. Apparently a couple of years ago, Facebook is having a thing where they're canceling people left, right, and center as well.
I haven't been on there since I ran for office because I can't. I can't deal.
So I like funny memes. Yeah, I like funny memes. I like dirty memes. I like that stuff. So apparently a couple of years ago, I posted something. There's a picture of a girl, just her stomach, jeans, unbuckling. And it says, hey, ladies, if you ever want to get out of getting in trouble for being late, just tell him, I'm sorry I'm late. I was masturbating. I thought that was hilarious. I posted it. Apparently I posted, right? And sometimes I would say it. I'm like, sorry I was late. I was masturbating. And people just start laughing. I was just like, whatever. So
I think I made that joke.
Fuck, right? I might have showed up at the Comic-Con and said that, right? Sorry, I'm late. I was masturbating. People just, So I posted that a few years ago. I got a notification today saying it had been flagged, and it went against the community standards for nudity and ludity or something. Nudity and I don't know, whatever it was. I'm like, really? This is 3-4 years old. There's no nudity on there. There's no whatever. Get over your fucking selves.
I mean, yeah.
Seriously.
I mean, unless it's literally hate speech.
Yeah. Leave it alone.
I don't think that there should be a tolerance for hate speech. I mean, you can't say fire in a movie theater. You can't say bomb in an airport. There's certain, and people talk about oh, but it's my free speech. You do realize your free speech is actually already limited, first of all, because you can't do those things. It's like seatbelts too back in the day. Don't infringe on my civil liberties. Don't make me wear a mask. Come on, slow your roll for just half a second. It's not that big of a deal.
Exactly.
It's not that look, it's not a civil liberties thing. You could take it that way, but it's really kind of not. It's not a big deal. It's not literally oh, we're going to walk you into a certain area where only you can live because you're only this race and color.
Mm-hmm.
That is a civil liberties. You having to wear a mask. It's come on, who cares?
Yeah, and that was my thing.
You brush your teeth, right? That takes more time than to put on a mask. I mean, I hope you brush your teeth. I don't know.
But no, that was my thing, right? And that was an argument I had with the extreme right now, and I say extreme right, extreme left, because I do believe there are degrees of people on every side, right? But
Absolutely.
I don't have to wear a mask. Okay, but you know what? Let's just think about this. I'm not a doctor, but if putting a mask on could potentially keep someone else safe, someone else's grandmother, their parents, them, whoever, okay, you know what? It takes 2 seconds. We don't know anything about this virus. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm just going to do it because it's the right. Yeah.
And
like,
it's not a big deal. Like, you know what's so funny to me too is like there's people that are like, I have asthma, I can't wear a mask. And I'm thinking, like, I'm pretty sure that surgeons who perform surgery for like 10 hours or more weren't screened for asthma prior to doing the surgery because they have to wear a mask the entire time. Clearly,
I have asthma. I wear a mask. You're fine.
You know what I mean?
You're fine. That's a bullshit thing.
I get if it's uncomfortable. I get if you don't want to do it. I get if you feel like you know somehow you're being infringed upon. But like, we live in a society. We don't live on a freaking island in the middle of like nowhere where we can make our own rules and be our own king.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So like, and that's it. Like we have, and again, as someone who like I've traveled.
I might be a princess over here. I'm just saying though.
Well, you are.
I was going to say, speak for your damn self. I mean,
Wonder Woman is a princess, right? Or a queen? Okay, and Poison Ivy. What is Poison Ivy? What is Poison Ivy?
Poison Ivy is just
she's a hot, sexy motherfucker.
She's super villainous, so will take down Batman like
she's
that
eco-terrorist.
with a kiss.
Yes.
Yes, an eco-terrorist. Thank you. Her kiss is deadly.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like I do want to get more shall we say knowledge about the whole Comic-Con world. I did one when I was a character in WWE that was very intellectual, so it was just a character. It wasn't me, I assure you, Stephanie. April knows this already. But I kind of like went around and I was like insulting the people at Comic-Con because I didn't get it. Like in my character's mind, why are these people dressing up? What's wrong? But I was also
he got to go to the real He got to go to San Diego.
Oh, show off.
Yeah, I know.
But I was fascinated that like there was such passion for all this. And you know, April and I like we've talked and had discussions and like when you go to a Comic-Con. So, and I don't mean to shift here. We can come back.
No shift. It's great. Shift away.
But any.
I know how to use a manual. It's all good.
Right. But wait a minute. I think I could use the manual. Where is it? I'm sorry. My millennialism came out. No. So, but when you go to a con, do you feel different? Like when you put on the Wonder Woman stuff,
when I don the armor.
Yeah. Like, do you feel different on the inside? Does it make you feel, or does it like just kind of bring out more of something that's inside you already?
So it's really weird. So with Wonder Woman, it's the one cosplay that I don't feel like I really change all that much. I think that it gives me maybe a little bit more of like a confidence boost when I don the armor. But personality-wise, I'm just me.
Okay. So,
and that was the first. I mean, not that I haven't dressed up before and done other stuff. That's like I'm not going to talk about on the show. But the thing of it is that like for me, it really wasn't a thing. I love actually doing Poison Ivy and I love the Uma Thurman version and being like the whole campy like what? You know, type of thing and having fun. Like, and I really love doing villains. They're really fun. Like I did Zoya the Destroyer.
Oh, nice.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Very cool.
It's a redhead. What do you think, April?
You said she looks good as a redhead. What do you think?
Her? Yeah, she looks great as a redhead.
So, well, I'm not a redhead there, but yeah.
That's cool. Oh, wow.
Yeah, there we go. Thanks, Colin.
There, yes.
Yes,
awesome.
and,
we have pictures. Yeah,
that's a great picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah. And
yeah, I mean, I have fun.
That's amazing. What's your favorite part about the Comic-Cons?
The people and interacting and getting to meet people and it's just awesome. And I love the kids. I mean, I love being a villain because it's just really fun.
It's way better. In wrestling, I still do.
Really fun because you get to so for me when I cosplay, it's like I tweak my personality to the character just a little bit. Like so with Poison Ivy, like I'm still me, but I tweak it, which is like why I do like the Uma Thurman, like over the top, super campy, like what but give me a kiss, type of thing. Because it's like, to me, that's part of my personality. Is it's super campy, like have fun with it, So that's a big part, is like finding a character that I can have fun with. But it's absolutely the interactions. I don't know if April is even aware of this. So like my first official guesting at a con was when I met her. So yeah, it was awesome. Like I just had a great time.
Wow.
It's just something that I do for fun. It's something that I really enjoy. I love the interactions. I love the kids. I mean, who's not going to love being like, oh my God, she's the real Wonder Woman? Like, who's not going to love that?
Yeah, and it's funny because, like, and going back to what we were saying, like originally, like how you got into this whole thing, where there is a certain like superheroes, we can all relate to them. Like they do have this kind of like archetypal presence, right? To where like whether it's Wonder Woman, Captain America, Superman, and
Poison Ivy.
Poison Ivy, yes, but
she's not a hero though.
What's that?
She's not quite a hero yet.
Right. Well, it's opinions vary.
Her and Swamp Thing. Actually, personally, I think that she should have had the power of the green, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, Swamp Thing. I didn't like Swamp Thing. He was all disgusting into stuff. I mean, I wouldn't.
Yeah, but Poison Ivy, like, totally should have had the power of the green.
Yeah,
not Swamp Thing.
I agree.
But that's my own personal, like, separate issue. But
it was probably copyrighted.
But go ahead, Aaron. Continue what you were saying about cosplay. No, because I was interested. I wanted to hear what you had to say.
Oh, yeah, but like these archetypal presences or archetypal personalities in, us like striving to be better, striving to, want to have the ability to, in essence. It's like at the Comic Cons, like there isn't a lot of left, right. It's people are just there to enjoy. And it's kind of like that vibe that we can, if we could just live our day-to-day lives like that, where we weren't judging anyone, we can kind of be ourselves and, be the best version. Yeah.
Yeah. The problem is that politics and media have always worked hand in hand, and it's just gotten worse over the past 2 decades, right? Because they literally have played to the strengths and the weaknesses. And, and the thing about Comic Cons, or any con for that matter, is that, like, everybody gets a moment to forget. Yeah. And remember true values of good and bad. Good is, helping humanity on all occasions in any way, and the environment, Ivy, and, and then bad is destruction.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was just, it literally was very black and white. And we live in a whole bunch of world of gray, but we actually don't, because the media has made it so black and white. And neither is a villain. Right? Unless they're not villains. They don't know how to communicate anymore.
Yes.
That's really what it came down to. Everybody bought in their own bullshit, if you will. They're like, oh yeah, see? And it's like, no, like, you get that there's like other ways to have discussions. It's not about anger. It's about like understanding and expanding yourself. Like, people used to enjoy like political debates and philosophical debates.
Some of us still do.
And theological debates. And it wasn't because like, oh, we had a point to prove. It's because the only way you can expand yourself is to understand the opposite point of view.
People.
Yes. Yep. And if you believe in your point of view, you should be at least somewhat prepared to defend it.
Yeah.
Or argue why.
And if you can't at least understand their rationale.
Yes.
Because sometimes it takes somebody else to tell you something in a rational way for you to even comprehend it. But that's okay. It's okay to be wrong. Like, I don't know what society all of a sudden we're in that it's not okay to be wrong.
Yeah.
We all fuck up. It's called being human. Literally, it's called being human. We fuck up. It's part of our DNA. Okay? Because guess what? We can only learn from mistakes. As much as we try and be perfect, the whole reason the Gen Z is all fucked up is because, like, they were told that they're never supposed to fuck up.
Yeah.
That's what life is fucking up.
It is. And that's like, they're living their lives on Instagram. Do you know, Stephanie, I found this out. They have a place where there is a mock plane. So these people can go and take pictures and selfies post them on they pay to do this, by the way. They pay money to go on.
Is there a tiger involved? I think there's a tiger involved.
There's probably whatever it is.
Hopefully.
I mean, maybe that's
or
like
some other endangered animal because they do that.
The deluxe package probably has the tiger.
Probably.
But, like, they posted on Instagram, and like, this is not real. Like, these people are like, what you put on Instagram is not reality, and that's why I think people they lose their sense of connection.
It's all about the followers.
Yeah, but like,
look
another person in the eye.
But the other problem is that we've gotten to a place in our society, right, where especially and COVID. I'm in the camp that COVID exists. I work in a medical practice. Like, I get it. I know people who have are suffering long term because they got it months ago, and they're still dealing with the fallout. But the reality is that so many people, they exist there on this online Twitter sphere bullshit of a life, and COVID just made it worse because it made it so you couldn't interact anymore. You couldn't meet some random stranger at a bar. And I don't mean to hook up with them. I mean just to have a conversation with somebody who's not in your camp and can have an intelligent conversation across the aisle about something that you have differing opinions on. You can't just go out and have those conversations anymore. So that's where COVID is to blame. I mean, not that it's blame one way, whatever. It sucks. It doesn't matter. The point of it is that politics definitely benefited because COVID continued to divide us because we could no longer talk with people across the aisle. We could only talk within our own little camps.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I didn't think about that. And those people,
you see somebody post something that's super argumentative, you're like, F you, you're blocked. I don't want to deal with you anymore.
Yeah.
It's because you're not having a real conversation anymore. You're just seeing some snapshot of some bullshit belief that they have, because we all have bullshit beliefs that sometimes we post. I personally am not big on posting, and if you look in my history, you can tell. Before I ran for office, by the way, the only thing that was ever on my feed was me going to a concert. Concert pictures.
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm like, this is my life. It's awesome. I'm going and rocking out.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Huh.
But I mean, it's true. It made you have to stay inside. And what did you do? You went online. And then it's all of a sudden you had to be political and express yourself. And you had to have an opinion. And you had to stand up. And you had to find your little corner or niche that you were that it was okay for you to do those things. I mean, it wasn't reality. That's not reality.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a virtual reality, which is still not reality.
Yeah.
True.
Well,
you're not there yet. Give us 100 years. Not
yet. Stephanie, we're getting close to wrap up. And again, thank you so much for your time. And thank you to your travel partner, too, for being so cool. As we get ready to close here, in your amazing life that you're just getting warmed up, I'm convinced of it. I'm convinced I'm going to be passing out bumper stickers with your name on it someday, but that's just whatever.
Just so you know, those bumper stickers would be called No Bitch Stone, because I'm sorry, you can vent to me all day long, but you can't bitch to me because I don't have time.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Would you have any advice? I mean, whether it's to, I guess for all people, if you want to break it down into young women, men, anyone, but you seem to be kind of on the same mindset that we are. We're all in this together. So based on your life to this point, what advice would you give people out there? What's the life lesson you've learned from your amazing journey already? And I'm sorry if that's a deep question.
No, it's okay. I just have to think for a second. So I would say the biggest thing that I would say to anybody is be true to what makes you happy. It doesn't matter what people think you're going to be good at. It doesn't matter what, everybody's expectations are for you. Mm-hmm. Be true to yourself and find your own happiness and your own bliss. And also understand that that's not necessarily a career. It could be a hobby.
Yeah.
That would be my 2 cents, is that, and happiness isn't just a career. It's a hobby alongside a career. It's however you want to make it, but don't, it's really hard, I think, for everybody to find themselves and to find what really makes them happy because of society and because of parents and siblings. We all every single one of us comes with a lot of baggage. Every single one of us. And I would say, find your happiness. Don't be afraid. to stand your ground to find it.
Awesome. Thank you
I like
so
that.
much.
No, wait. I wanna do a picture.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody smile.
Should I put my costume on?
Yeah, go ahead.
I know, like, you guys are all cosplaying.
I'm like, I gotta like.
All right, do you have a costume?
I'm
Oh, you
Florida.
have a costume.
I'm Florida
You're
man.
Florida. Oh, you're okay, Florida man.
I don't know if I should be offended.
Cool. So where?
I love Florida. It's my favorite state. Actually, I lived in Tampa for years. And
So, Aaron, am I going to meet you at a con or what?
was that me or April?
You, Aaron. I already know April, and I know I'm going to see her at another con.
Oh, yes.
You.
Yes. You know what? Like, we will go, and I'll actually have. I don't know if I'll dress up. I'm not sure yet, but absolutely.
Do it.
Okay. No,
So-
I really do hope to meet you someday.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, April, for having me
Don't
on.
go anywhere.
Pleasure.
Don't go anywhere. We need to know. Everybody needs to know where they can find you. Where are you going to be next? Where are you online? And you do cameos too, in costume, right?
I don't do cameos yet. I have to have like an invite to be able to do that.
Okay.
So,
well,
but I
tell us-
do. So I'm
tell us-
Amazon cosplayer on basically
Okay.
all the platforms. Although I'm going to be honest, I am mainly on Instagram. If you want to contact me, that's where you want to go. As far as cons, I'm going to be in in Tampa the last weekend or the weekend before. I'm going to be there for TCGC. I'll be there. So it's the end of this month. And then afterwards, I'm going to be in Raleigh for GalaxyCon at the end of July. And then I'll definitely be at MegaCon.
Okay.
But,
What's
follow me
TCGC?
at Amazon Cosplayer. I will be continuously making announcements about where I'm going to be and what I'm doing. And eventually, I promise I will have prints, and I'll have so I was on the cover of Red Sonja. I promise I'll have those on sale on a website at some point. If not, you have to meet me at a con to get it.
Awesome.
Not so sure.
Awesome. And hopefully I will be seeing you. Well, if you're in Tampa and you're, hopefully we can catch up there. But
we need to go and get a drink when I come.
yeah,
Here.
for sure. And then hopefully everything will work out, and I'll see you in the
At UltraCon.
West Palm Beach. Yeah,
In
UltraCon.
August, and you'll be staying
that'd
with
be cool.
me with my doggy.
Yeah.
My Sophia
Well,
dog.
I look forward to that. So thank you for taking time out to do this. I know you've had a full day of work already, so we appreciate you giving us some.
I'm really happy to be here.
time.
You're amazing. I'm so happy that I got to meet you. And no, I do. I think you're amazing. And
Thank you.
I'm happy to even be in your circle.
Thank you. Well, I told you when I met you, I'm like, I think you're going to be my people. I can tell. So, and the more I talk to you, you're definitely, I wasn't wrong. So cool.
I'm an angry bitch. No, I'm not really.
Right?
The whole interview, I'm smiling, but I'm an angry bitch.
Well, I mean, I don't think anybody shouldn't be at this point sometimes, deep down inside. It's like the Incredible Hulk. We just keep it controlled.
Man, I
Get out when you need to.
One of my next cosplays, just so you know, is totally going to be Red
Red Hulk?
Red
Oh.
She-Hulk. Hell yeah.
That's a good one. So,
Awesome.
all right. Well, thank you for being on here, and we will
Thank
talk
you.
to
You're beautiful
soon.
as always, Aaron. A pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank you
for
so much.
having me. Seriously, it means a lot. I
No,
appreciate
this was awesome.
No problem.
Great.
I'm glad you could come on and say bye to your friend. All
it. Messed up.
right. And we'll talk soon.
You got it. Bye-bye.
So Amazon Cosplayer on Instagram. You can keep up with her. I know Steph. She's an up and comer. I probably want to keep up with her because I think she's going to be doing lots of stuff. So, and I know she has started to do the cameo appearances too, and she's doing them in cosplay. So I'm not sure how that works, but if you're interested, you might be able to dig around and figure that out. If you want to throw some money her way, I'm sure she will put it towards another cool costume, and she won't turn it down, right? And costumes are expensive. So anyway, Aron, thank you for doing that interview.
Oh, what? We did it together. What do you mean?
No, I mean, well, I figured you should do it mostly. So there you go.
Oh, well, you know what? I was cosplaying as Larry King in a tank top.
There you go.
What I was doing. That's
So-
see, it's more cerebral with me.
There you go. So we weren't live last week, and we apologize. But every so often, Aron has his NWA Atlanta shows, and his travel days are Tuesdays. So it's kind of a serious conflict in time to be able to do a live on those Tuesdays, and it happens like once every 3 months. And last Tuesday was that time, so we did a rerun instead. Thank you, Colin. But how was NWA Power?
It was awesome. We had NWA When Our Shadows Fall, the pay-per-view, which was really, really cool. Exceeded expectations in both the numbers department in terms of who watched it, who tuned in, and in terms of the performance aspect. Really, really cool season of Power we have coming up. A lot of cool things happening. And of course, we are going at the end of August with wrestling back at the Chase in St. Louis for a pay-per-view. So we're branching out. We have the Georgia Public Broadcasting is our home, and that's where the NWA we first started. But now we're really becoming the National Wrestling Alliance, and there's a lot of cool stuff on the horizon. So
wow.
How about you? How was the Comic-Con when you met Stephanie? And there was a picture of you and a puppy.
Yeah, in the news I saw it. Yeah. So okay, so so my friend Amy fosters dogs. She's kind of like an unsung hero as well. She does all this amazing stuff, and fostering is one of them. And she has been a very positive influence on me. So I started going through the process of fostering as well. And I got my first puppy. Do you have, what is that right there in your hand?
Sword.
Is that my sword?
No.
Okay.
No. Which...
Okay, cool. Anyway, so.
Go ahead.
Anyway, so I got my first foster puppy about a week and a half ago. And I now know why a lot of people do not take puppies. But she was super cute. And I got her on the same weekend. I was already booked for Comic-Con. So, which Stephanie was working with me. And Stephanie helped babysit her with me because we ended up, I got her dressed up. I had an old costume of Bella's, which was a little bit too small for Bella at the time. I managed to get that down Xena Meadow. So she's a little pit bull chocolate lab mix, and you can adopt her at the Pinellas County Humane Society under the name of Palexa, I believe was her original foster name. But she was absolutely lovely, and we had a good time. And it's apparently the people on the news and the news, and they all fell in love with her and her little costume, her little Supergirl costume, and we made the news. So there you go.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so great.
She's a good girl. Well, she's a pea factory, but she's a good girl.
But good for you for doing that too. And
Yes.
Again, like we're both animal people, and with everything going on, like these last 18 months and everything, I think there were people that are affected too. But I am of the philosophy animals are people too, and it's good to know that there's still the caring and kind people out there that are doing that kind of work. So that's amazing. And again, to take on that responsibility, that's not easy.
No, thank you. Oh, it was responsibility and expense, I found out, because she ate my MacBook Pro charging cord, and even an open box replacement was $73. So yeah, so I had to go buy another one. Yeah. So yeah.
But it's a phase, and she'll grow out of it, and she is so sweet and so nice.
Yeah. So,
but no, that's cool.
Now I couldn't work for 2 days. So yeah. So there you go.
Let me ask you this: are we on the A show after hours, or are we not gone there yet?
What?
Has the podcast ended? Are we after hours now? Are we?
No. We're still on. We're still
live. Yeah, we're still on. We're still live.
Do you have a good story that you want to wait?
No. I was just again, like, due to all the excitement with NWA and the sword, and I was just wanting to know where we were at. And but no, I think that, like I said, the animal rescue and that whole world, right? Because let's talk about this for a second. from my personal experience, like when I have worked with certain charities, there are charities that are run like a business.
Hmm.
And in essence, they put up the front of, oh, we do work and make a donation here and there. When if you donate $1, maybe 10 cents of it will go to, what's it's actually intended to help.
Hmm.
Your experience with the shelter, because we chat a little bit about it and stuff. What did you think of them as people? What did you think of how they were taking care of the animals there? And I'm just curious about that, like your personal experience with this, because there are some pretty nasty people out there in this world.
Well, let's see. How do I put this? I I think they're taking care of the animals fine, but not the people.
Mhm.
So when they sent her home with me, they forgot to send a bunch of things with her, like her wet food.
Mhm.
Which I've not had a puppy for a long time, ever since Bella's been a puppy. This is like, 13 years ago or whatever. 12 years ago. So I asked her, I mean, I could Google it, but it's breed specific. Sometimes I said, she's like, if you have any problems, text me, let me know, and any questions. Oh, does Aron have a permit for that? Hey,
To the
Brandon.
Lord of the Sword. That's my comic book name. The Lord
There
of
you
the
go.
Sword.
Yeah, try traveling with that on a plane. LOL. Well, actually, there's a funny story about a sword and a plane. They were giving out those types of swords for a fitness and figure show in Kentucky as awards, and many of us placed in that show. I placed and qualified for nationals, and luckily I lived in Kentucky at the time. But the people who flew in were not allowed to take their swords home, which those were our awards. So instead of getting a trophy, we got a sword. So a lot of people had to relinquish theirs at TSA. So yeah, you could not get that on a plane. Apparently, we found out.
Well, I
So,
mean, yeah, like when they're handing, like when you're handing awards out. Now, look, who doesn't like swords, right? They're awesome. Hey, if you compete and then you get a weapon as an award, I can't think of anything greater than that. However, logistically, I mean, maybe medals would have been better, like a gold medal or something
no,
with your.
no, the sword is the best. I have gotten more use out of the sword that is like that one for shoots and
But
everything. I've it's been grateful.
okay, but I ask you this:
Hmm.
those that have to fly in, they get nothing. Is it not better to give them, a medal, like a trophy, some kind of a token that they can take home and said, I placed at this event, I did this, as opposed to a piece of weaponry that you can't get on an airplane? Because again, I'm all for handing out swords as well. Like as I think the Olympics, instead of medals, should have swords. All right, I think it's a
Hmm.
lot cooler. But my opinion, in something like this, especially bodybuilding, where you have to train, there is no other sport that is just hell on your day-to-day life than bodybuilding. Because I mean, the way you have to diet and the nutrients, the tan, it is so much work that goes into stepping on stage and completely putting your fate in the hands of other people's opinions, right? And
Hmm.
I couldn't imagine that. I couldn't imagine that. I couldn't do it. So at least like give something everyone can take home. Maybe a golden protein shaker. I don't know.
No, gold, silver, and bronze swords. Yeah, right
Yes,
on. Like I think that, honestly, if they're gonna break out the sword, yeah. Oh. Okay, maybe a dagger.
oh my
Maybe
God, a
maybe a dagger. A
dagger.
dagger is a nice, or a cane sword or something. Something you can check in your baggage, right? Axes are better.
An axe, yes.
Actually, Chris, yeah, War Demon says axes are better. An axe might actually be a good thing.
You
Yeah,
can do
an
all
axe.
kinds of stuff with an axe.
You can throw an axe.
Yep. Throw an axe, chop. You can use
Yeah,
it as a hammer.
yeah. You can cut someone's pinky off.
Do all kinds of stuff.
Theoretically,
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
you could do that. Yeah, if you had to
It's
cut your hair, you could maybe cut some of your hair off if you needed
By the way,
to.
if you're
I don't
listening, do
know.
not try any of this at home. Axes are
No.
for decorative purposes only, unless you are camping. So that's just my we do
Yeah.
not condone the chopping off of pinkies, hair, or any
Yeah.
other appendages using an axe.
So the opinions over there are not necessarily shared by by here, so I might condone it depending on the situation.
Well, I don't.
Left lane drivers, cut that pinky off.
Running around, you can't be driving around throwing axes at people. It's not legal and it's not good for anybody.
Why not? Honestly, hang on a second. Let's think about this for a minute. If it got out there, kind of like how the Vikings attacked the monasteries brutally because they knew they couldn't go up against Rome's army, so they took another tack and they went after England and they destroyed the monasteries in such a way that they knew it would get back to Rome. If we were to do something similar and throw axes at people who are idiots on the road, don't you think a few other people might clean up their act? If you knew that there was a possibility that an axe could come flying at your freaking windshield or in your convertible at any minute, it could happen. Like that news was getting out and about, like, oh, everybody be careful out on the road. You could have an axe come flying at you. Don't you think people would maybe be a little more careful?
Well, they would be living in fear.
They're already living in fear. This would be using fear for good, cleaning up the streets.
Here's the thing. They're living in fear because of, or some people are living in fear because of, oh, the media is telling them this, the news is telling them that, blah, 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 blah. There is not a human being alive that if you said, hey, when you get in your car and you're driving down the freeway, there is a possibility that an axe will come flying at you.
If you're in the left lane and you don't move over.
Number one, we'd have a lot less traffic. Number two, it wouldn't be good for anybody. So I think now, here's what I'm not opposed to. And I am for this in a legal sense. So we cannot have random axes just flying around. You know what I mean? There's motorcyclists, there's birds, there's all kinds
of axes. Why not?
What we should do is it is a 50-50 accident, right? And the insurance companies, they're doing all their, right? You could settle it by a duel. And in that duel, you will get an axe and you take the 10 paces, go, and you just throw the axe. Now, I'm for that, like in a controlled legal setting that will be supervised with lawyers and government officials and police. And if they want to do it that way, perhaps, you know, that's a good middle between your random axes of axe throwing and, you know, me not saying it's a good thing. But I think if we could resolve that in terms of, yes, like, okay, it's official, the insurance claims, you know, there's nothing. Oh, and we just have Washington State has a law where two people, if they agree to fight, the cops can't stop it until somebody gets to the ground. So
somebody hits the ground.
Let me tell you something.
I love that. That's still like in play? And Washington State has a law that if two people agree to fight, the cops cannot legally stop it until one person hits the ground. That's so fucking barbarian. I love it.
You throw an axe at somebody, they're going to the ground. One hit from an axe, whether you hit with the blade, the back end,
what if you get
you're going to the ground.
What if you don't get it to stick?
No, you essentially got hit with a flying hammer. Not okay.
How about hammers? Okay, let's go. What about giving someone a hammer as an award? They could take that on the plane.
That absolutely.
A hammer.
Yes.
How about a hammer that turns into a dagger?
Yes.
Multi-purpose.
I can't think of it, but actually, you know what? Yes. Yeah, like a really cool decorative hammer.
If this isn't made, can we copyright this? A hammer that turns into a dagger.
Like instead of swords, you hand out. Oh no, I'm sure
it's like a fleshlight, but it's a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
If a fleshlight actually shined a light too. I don't know about these things.
I don't know how that would be possible. It's impossible.
Anyway,
there's,
I don't either.
But yeah, there's a lot going on, right? Like we can say swords are cool. We can say, you know, the axe, of course. You know, and again, wait, a hammer.
Where the head comes off during a throw and can be retracted for another shot, like a boomerang hammer, right?
That would be cool. That would actually be really cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, like shields. I guess like you could have like but that's
Oh,
kind of like a plaque with a handle on
Winona
it.
says, Winona says that's how things are handled in the South. Don't bother with the cops. Just take care of yourself. Yeah, right?
Well, look,
Swords,
here's
swords and axes and daggers. Oh my. No kidding.
here's something I'd like to raise right now.
Mhm.
I do not condone fighting. I think violence, like you should not, um, you shouldn't hurt anyone, right? However, do you know this, that in school, if two children fight, even if someone if child A walks up to child B and just starts just beating the crap out of them, if child B fights back, they are both suspended automatically.
Yeah.
That is wrong. That is absolutely, because no one learns. That is, oh, you're breaking our rules, but like, no, like, address the problem. Like, if someone comes up and starts a fight, and if somebody is in the wrong, they should be punished as such. I don't care if they're in high school or junior high. Like, to me, that's just an easy out for the teachers, and I'm not okay with that. I think at some point, right, like, you need conflict resolution, and that is not
Yes.
teaching conflict resolution.
This word right here. You see this word?
Word of the week.
Can you pronounce that?
Back for you, Sister.
I don't know how you pronounce that. I'm going to say Backpfeifengeist. I'm not sure if that's right, but do you know what this word means?
No.
This means, in German, a face that is badly in need of a fist. It's someone who needs a punch to the face. Why do we not have this in English? I will disagree with you wholeheartedly that some people do need to be punched or slapped.
Oh, I mean, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Look, in the animal kingdom, and again, I'm very, very against, like, hitting children, right? Like, I think child abuse is one of the most heinous things that anyone could do, like, whether it's physical abuse or whatever, right? So, like, there's just, we can go on for days about this. However, in the animal kingdom, if a parent does something to correct a bear cub or a puppy or a kitten, it's done for the child's good. And
benefits.
I remember one time, like, I was spanked occasionally as a kid, and I just remember, like, yeah, at the time it sucked, but I didn't do it again. And as I grew up, I went, oh, okay, that's why. So it's funny, right? Like, we need to protect our kids, but at the same time, we need to let parents be parents, because if a child, I'm going to get go to your room. Well, you go to your room and you have access to everything in the world, the internet, the phone, like there's so many, there's so many different variables that, like, I do think, like, a sense of discipline is needed to where there's real consequences, and not abuse, but just something within reason. And I don't necessarily, like I said, agree with the whole, if you touch your own child, even if it's like a spank, you're going to jail, or like the feds or not the feds, but DSS and all that. Like, it needs to be done within reason, right? And I just wish we could address that in this country more.
We learned at Kowalski's pain. At Kowalski's, pain is a great teacher, right? We were told this at school. So, like, a kid, a lot of times, don't touch the stove, it's hot. Don't touch the stove, it's hot. Kid touches the stove anyway, gets burned. That pain is a great teacher, right?
Yeah.
So what was the worst thing that happened at school when we screwed up?
You have to stand against the wall at recess.
No, in school, we had to run drills. We had to run.
Oh.
Make your fucking kid run. Run. Make your kid run.
Well, it would solve the obesity problem.
Run. Make that kid run. Yeah. I mean, of course, there's that small minority of people out there that actually likes running. Like, their exercise is everybody else's punishment, but most people hate running. Make them run, because that was our punishment, and we hated it. Run until they puke. There you go. You're not laying a hand on them, but it's a great teacher.
Yeah. Wow. And how crazy is that? Like, oh, you messed up. Go outside and play. Right? Like, 50 years ago, right? That was like going outside and play, but like now it can be used as punishment. What does that say about us as a society? Like where are we going? And Colin,
Yeah.
Colin's mom was a teacher, and up until about 3 to 5 years ago, the principal could get permission to spank a kid. Wow, that's crazy.
Colin, come on on.
Yeah, please.
So when I went to high school, we had what was called corporal punishment. The principal could hit us and did with a paddle. So,
wow.
Hi, Colin.
I'm sorry, I was muted. I'm still trying to do some stuff behind the scenes. How's everybody doing tonight?
That's all
Wonderful.
right.
How are you?
By the way, Colin is getting married. He is now engaged.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, guys.
Congratulations. So you're saying your mom was a teacher?
Yeah, so she was the in-school suspension teacher. So if you got in trouble, you had to go spend time with her. And I always joke that she's the only in-school suspension teacher that I've ever seen kids run up to and be like, "Oh, Miss Wysong, it's so nice to see you," and like give her hugs and stuff. And I'm like, "You're the mean lady. Like you're supposed to be the scary one." But no, kids loved her. But and I know in North Carolina, in our elementary school growing up, the principal could spank you. And then the laws changed because they'd have the big paddle in the office. They'd scare you with it or whatever. And I think up until recently, and they may still be able to do it, but the principal now has to get permission from the parents to be able to do it. Used to, I think you could just do it. If you were bad enough, that would be like one of the punishments. But I think they do have to get parental permission now.
Wow.
Huh. I would probably give permission if it was my kid. If it was my kid, I know he'd probably be a little bastard. I'd be like, yeah, go ahead. Saves me the hassle.
I like the idea of running, though. I mean, like push-ups, running, that stuff will definitely get you to, not do it.
Boot camp.
That's a great drill. That's like.
Do you remember? We're
Wow.
running in July upstairs in a dojo, no air conditioning. We're running and we're going outside on the fire escape because we're going to throw up because it's that brutal. You remember that shit?
I never threw up.
Good for you. Good for you, Aron.
Being completely honest, I never blew up.
How's that work for you now?
Believe it or not, the same.
All right, good.
What Killer told me on my first day, this is actually true, where I'll never forget this. He goes, look, I'm going to train you, but there's one thing that I demand. And he explained to me, like, for those of you that don't know, blowing up means you're out of gas. Like you run so much, you have a hard time
Breathe.
and you can't think about anything else. What he said, he goes, you're going to be trained here. He goes, you are to never, ever blow up in the ring. He goes, you can blow up. He goes, it's okay. You can be sucking wind and you cannot not even like know where your next breath is coming from. And I'm paraphrasing, but he was explaining it in Killer's unique way. But he goes, you don't sell it. He goes, when you are out there, you simply do not sell it. When you go to the back, then you can blow up and get water. But he goes, anytime you're out there, he goes, you never sell like you're blown up, and you always perform. And that's like going back, to that match I had with Nick a few months ago. I mean, we were coming out of the pandemic. I was in the worst shape of my career, literally. I mean, I was fat. I was. I was. No,
everybody was fat after the pandemic. Some of us still are. It happens.
You're right. But I was called to main event a pay-per-view and give a pay-per-view main event performance. And I was trying to do some cardio and I had like 3 weeks to prepare. And I just said, you know what? No, whatever happens, I am not going to sell it. And I'm going to go out there and any kind of blown up, or if I have to vomit, whatever happens, I will do it in the back, not out there. And it was just a mental thing. And it shouldn't have worked because like I'm not a cardio guy. I mean, I don't like cardio. I'm taking boxing classes now, which is cool, but no, I mean, just to me, it's always a mental thing. I have no idea how we get on the subject, but.
Well, we're just talking about Payne being a great teacher and running. But anyway,
but it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
So there you go. there's my perspective on things. And I know we're at about an hour and a half, and I don't want to keep people too long. But
I have to go
Colin, it's
sharpen the
nice.
sword.
There you go. Put my sword down. It's nice to to see you, Colin. Are you doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing great, guys. I went to New York for the gentleman who does the voiceover for the intro of the show, Big
Yeah.
Ray Hernandez. He just got married this past weekend. They're down in Punta Cana enjoying all kinds of fun. They're posting pictures. He's sending me pictures. And then Sunday, we went to the Museum of Ice Cream, which is a pop-up museum in New York. And they give you ice cream, like literally as soon as you walk in, they give you a cone of ice cream. And they have boozy drinks, like boozy milkshakes and stuff that you can have. And then it's really more of an art installation than history of ice cream. They've got a giant slide that goes from the top to the bottom. They have a sprinkle pool that like is filled with rubber sprinkles with like slides and stuff. Like that was really interesting. And then they just have some different little art installations and stuff like that. And almost in every room, there's a chance for you to try different ice cream. After you go down the big slide, the guy gives you vanilla chocolate, or you can get a swirl and like these little mini cones. And it's really cool. If you're in the New York area, definitely check out the Museum of Ice Cream while it's still there. And then I took my fiance now. I guess I have to get used to saying that.
Yes.
We did a horse and carriage ride, and we went downtown through Rockefeller Center, Radio City Music Hall, went through Central Park. Unfortunately, they were supposed to stop at certain places for me to possibly get out and pop the question. But they didn't ever really stop. They stopped for photo ops, but never really stopped in the location I thought they would. So we ended up,
really?
yeah. So we ended up getting off of the horse and carriage when they were done with the ride, and went over to the lake that's there in Central Park where the Bow Bridge is.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like these little trails that kind of go down to the lake. So we just kind of walked and went down there to the lake, and then that's where I popped the question.
Oh,
Colin,
wow.
I think that worked out better than, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think that probably that sounds better because, like, okay, the carriage ride, you pop the you get back on the carriage. Now, like, you guys can't have your moment. There's obviously a third person and two horses, that are present. And then, like, doing it that way, I think that's pretty cool because, like, after you engage, like, you got to have a moment where it was just you two, and like we can take it from here. Like, we're in control, not this person with the top hat and the buggy whip.
Yeah, no, it was definitely cool. And she didn't know, like, you can pay extra for a photographer, and he just follows you on a skateboard. So we had this photographer following us on a skateboard, snapping pictures, and he would stop and get some of the monuments and stuff in the background. So I'm sure there's some really cool pictures of like downtown New York and some of the areas in the Central Park where he's getting good backdrops for these pictures. And he brought a dozen roses and gave it to her, and she still had no clue. She still didn't know like kind of what was going on. She's like, "Oh, what are these flowers for?" And I'm like, "Oh, they do this for the horse and carriage ride. It's like the package that I chose," and then covered it up real nicely. Then she didn't know while we were walking through Central Park, and we were just walking through Central Park, and I went over to the bridge, and we kind of looked at the bridge and got some good pictures and stuff. And then she was totally 100% surprised.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's
Yeah, I'm so happy for you guys. For all
thank you. Thank you.
Well, big congrats to Colin. And
yeah, that's awesome. Very, very sweet. So he's explaining it to us. I'm like, oh, that's so cheesy. I love it. Well, okay. Well, we are at about, an hour and a half or so, and we won't keep people any longer, but thank you for tuning in. Thank you to Amazon Stephanie. Do you have anything else you would wanted to add in, Aron?
Yeah. So look, it has come to my attention that this Patreon and the subscribers and viewers and all this podcast thing is important. Therefore, I am now asking everyone if they dig the show, if they like what's going on here. If you're looking for an alternative podcast, yes, because at the A show, the A stands for alternative, really. We are just we want to expand. We want more people in on the discussion. Thank you to everyone who listened. Thank you to everyone who participates, and thank you to everyone who spreads the word. Because if you like, and I say it, if you like the show, tell a friend. If not, tell an enemy. Look, I'm going to start retweeting. I'm going to start doing a lot more things, and I've also been told I have to interact with fans more. Something that I will be working on in the upcoming weeks. But look, I really enjoyed this podcast. It's a great creative outlet for me. I can't speak for April, but it's been great for me. Getting to talk to amazing people like Amazon Stephanie and just like Lori that we had on, and just so many other
Seth
yes,
Horn,
Matt McCarthy,
Matt McCarthy, BRV, Billy Ray.
yes, oh Billy Ray Valentine, yes,
Yeah,
oh my God, yeah. So look, we'll talk everything from conspiracy theories to cosplay to current events, and we just want to keep the content coming. So just keep pushing it, keep retweeting, keep liking. And again, thank you for just caring enough to actually participate, to listen to what we have to say. April, anything?
No, I wanted to say thank you to the people that show up every week. I'm now getting to know many of you. I see you popping up. I've talked to you on Facebook and on Twitter and Instagram, and some of you in real life too. So it's nice to see you over and over again each week. I'm very grateful that you're here. Colin has, hey, there you go. There you go.
Back at you, man. Back at you.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's Brandon. And yep. Oh, thank you, Eva.
Fred.
Love the show. Hey, there's Fred. Oh. Hey, Fred. I'm gonna touch my hair. My hair. This is my favorite podcast. Oh yeah. Happy late birthday, Brandon Keon. I still like calling that because I like that name.
Happy birthday. You made it another trip around the sun. You're getting it done.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. So we do, if you are listening to us on another channel, you can actually watch us on Patreon, The A Show. And we do have we have some free shows up on our YouTube channel as well. So if you want to, we've got clips. So if you want to go back and check out YouTube, you can see some of our other shows. You can see some of the clips. If you are just catching today and wonder what we're like, with some other stuff, because no two shows are the same. We're a little bit weird and eclectic. And we just kind of roll with whatever's going on for the day or in the current events or what's on our mind or whatever. So I don't think any of our shows are very similar, are they?
No, not at all. And again, we have some free stuff out there to kind of like sample. It's kind of like the ice cream museum. When you walk into the ice cream museum in New York, they hand you a free cone. We got some free ice cream cones out there, and we got vanilla, we got swirl, we got cookies.
We don't have vanilla. No, we have
mint,
like pistachio.
Pretty much every flavor but vanilla we have here.
Bourbon strawberry.
Garcia. We got all the, and we put samples out. So, again, thank you all. Like, share, find a follow, whatever.
Yes. Well, thank you again for showing up and keeping us company. We appreciate it. Thank you for supporting us. We very much appreciate that. Thank you for being patrons. And we will be live again next Tuesday at 1:00 Eastern. Thank you for being part of our night show. So,
have a good night.
No, if you like your show?
I already said that, didn't I? But I'll say it again. All right, because I said it before. I said it like 5 minutes ago, but I'll say it now in the sense that I always say. Once again, if you like the show, tell a friend. If you don't, tell an enemy.
Thank you.